Hello class 7. Now here I am Madhusri Miss. I again want to carry on your poem The Invention of Shoes. The Invention of Shoes. Written by Rabindranath Tagore. Now today first of all I want to give you an overall summary of the poem. Listen carefully. King Habu was pondering all night that he walked on his feet, and his feet was dirtied with dust. He asked his minister Gabbu and told him to solve the solution. And he gave Gabbu, that is Habu gave Gabbu 3 days for this purpose. Now the minister Gabbu calls the mechanics and pandits to solve the problem. Some 2 million watermen also came to drain the lake and to fill the water bags. But watering the land was no solution. There was no end of the dust. Now, then one man gave the suggestion to call a leatherman so that the entire area may be covered with mat. Now, an old leatherman at last came, but the old leatherman said that to cover King Habu's feet with shoes, it would be better instead of covering the earth. So, the shoes were invented by the leatherman's chief. That is the summary of the overall meaning of the poem. How the shoes were invented and what was the problem of King Habu, like this. Now, again I may repeat the summary again. Listen, all my students, listen carefully. King Habu was pondering all night that he walked on his feet and his feet was dirtied with dust. He asked his minister Gabbu and told him to solve the solution. King Habu asked Gabbu to take 3 days and to solve, that is to remove all the dust. Now, Minister Gabbu asked the mechanics, the pandit, to give a solution of this, but there was no solution. Then 2 million watermen came and they drained all the lakes to fill water bags. But watering the land was no solution to end the dust. They watered the whole land, but it was also of no solution to remove the dust. Then they suggested that the entire area should be covered with mats. Then it was decided to call the leatherman to sew up the earth in a sack. An old leatherman appeared and is suggested to cover the King Habu's feet instead of covering all the earth. So the shoes were invented by the leatherman's chief. So the shoes were invented by the leatherman's chief. Now this is the summary of the poem. I think it is clear to you, okay? And this is apparently a funny poem written by the famous poet Rabindranath Tagore. Number 1 question. Sketch the character of King Habu. Answer. King Habu was very selfish. The king's feet was dirtied with dust. The king's duty was to look after the common people. But instead of doing his prime duty, he was always bothering of his own interest. Let me repeat the question and answer again. Sketch the character of King Habu. Write the answer. King Habu was very selfish. Full stop. The king's feet was dirtied, dirtied with dust. The king's duty was to look after his common people. Let me repeat this sentence again. The king's duty was to look after his common people. But instead of doing his prime duty, he was always bothering, bothering, he was bothering of his own interest. Now, question number 2. What did he order to Minister Gabbu? Number 2 question is, what did he order to Minister Gabbu? Answer is, King Habu asked Minister Gabbu to clear dust from the entire area within 3 days. Now, let me repeat this question again. What did he order to Minister Gabbu? King Habu asked Minister Gabbu to clear dust from the entire area within 3 days. Question number 3. What was the work Minister Gabbu carried on to implement the order of King Habu? Let me repeat it again. What was the work Minister Gabbu carried on to implement the order of King Habu? Right. The Minister Gabbu calls all the mechanics and pandits to solve the problem. At last they called a leatherman. Chief to solve king's problem. So the leatherman gives a solution, solution, to cover the King Habu's feet instead of covering all the earth. So the shoes were invented by the leatherman's chief. Let me repeat this question again. What was the work Minister Gabbu carried on to implement, that is to put it in reality, to execute it, to implement the order of King Habu? The Minister Gabbu calls all the mechanics and pandits to solve the problem. At last they called a leatherman's chief to solve king's problem. So the leatherman gives a solution to cover the King Habu's feet instead of covering all the earth. So the shoes were invented by the leatherman's chief. Next, how many watermen came and what they do? Now, again I am repeating the question. How many watermen came and what did they do? Right. 2 million watermen came and they drained, drained all the lakes to fill water bags. Again, right. Now, 2 million watermen came and they drained, drained all the lakes to fill, FILL, water bags. Full stop. Now the last question. Sketch the character of Minister Gabbu. Sketch the character of Minister Gabbu. Right. Gabbu was Habu's minister. He was very narrow-minded and a great flatterer, FLATTERER, of king. He was also very jealous. He was also very jealous. 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 Full stop. He was not an intelligent person. He was not an intelligent person. Now, last question I am repeating again. Sketch the character of Minister Gabbu. Gabbu was answered. Gabbu was Habu's minister. He was very narrow-minded and a great flatterer of king. He was also very jealous. He was not at all an intelligent person. Last sentence, again I am repeating, he was not at all an intelligent person. Now, my students, this is the end of the chapter, The Invention of Shoes. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in my next class. Have a nice day.